Hello, this is David. So, I know it can be confusing when we talk about the way you use your eyes and what a huge effect it has on your vision. And it makes you think, hold on, there's only one way to use my eyes, really, and it's unbelievable that such subtle aspects of how you think about what you're looking at can cause such huge problems like myopia. I mean, come on, that's crazy talk. My eye doctor didn't tell me about this. As an example, one of the subtle changes that you practice with your vision is, well, I think it's very useful to look at archery. Now, you need pretty good vision for it. And I'm not telling you to go learn archery, but I'm sharing some things with you right now that I learned from archery that parallels vision improvement a lot and gave me a little bit different perspective. So, I do what they call instinctive shooting. That's what I'm learning. It's a way of hitting your target without aiming. That's what's important for what we're talking about. Most people use sights. They line up the shot in the sight, and just like you do with a gun. Now, I started learning archery last year after reading the book Zen in the Art of Archery. It's an old book published in 1953. That's Japanese archery. A little different, but it got me interested. Now, with improving your vision, once you learn enough to understand that it's all about how you use your eyes and not about strengthening your eyes or doing something to fix them or cure them, you might get the idea then that your job is to assert a type of control over your eyes to make them do the right thing. Well, let's go over that. But with instinctive archery, the more tightly you hold the bow, or the more tightly you grip it, and as you pull back the string, the more tense your arm and back and hand muscles are. And also, the more you move your arm to try to adjust where the arrow is pointing to get it lined up, just right before you release, all that, the worse you're going to shoot because of all that as you try to make those adjustments. You're going about it in the wrong way. In archery, these things are all important, gripping the bow and everything, but the more you think about each part of your movement, the more physical force you end up putting into it. And that in turn messes up your shot. This is because the bow and arrow, and I promise I'll get back to vision. I'm getting somewhere with this, but this is because the bow and arrow are so sensitive to the smallest movements. The forces you are putting against the bow, the string and the arrow, they all affect the shot in a big way. Any type of movement or force at any point during the firing process that is not congruent with the intended path of the arrow will throw it off. If you release the string by what we call plucking it, it causes a vibration that throws it off. If you move the bow at all as you release, which is really, it's easy to do, it's tricky to avoid because the tension is releasing as you release the string, you'll throw it off. This is how sensitive your eyes are also. Your visual system needs you to be more delicate with it than you are used to. Whenever you tense your eyes in trying to see something, you're doing the wrong thing. The focus of your eyes is thrown off, just like the arrow's thrown off. Depending on how your tension with your eyes manifests, the nature of it could be myopia, hyperopia, astigmatism, however you manifest that type of tension, that's all you. In shifting, for example, which you have heard of as a useful exercise in improving your vision, it's if you do it in a way where you're putting force in the movements of your eyes, you're throwing off your vision. Consider instead how delicately, how softly you could practice moving your attention, and your eyes will follow that. Notice how little force it seems to take for your eyes to move. And the minimum amount of force is the correct amount because your visual system knows how to operate beautifully if you get yourself out of the way. My particular bow that I use, it's pretty cheap. It's one of the cheapest ones that's kind of passable, but even so, it shoots fine. I have it tuned right, but it's made to precisely shoot that arrow straight into the bullseye every time. Every shot is the same. Only difference is me. If it doesn't go into the bullseye, I'm doing something to throw off the shot. And it's much more than aiming. A lot of people just concentrate on aiming. It's not, that's the least important thing. It's the movement. It's how you hold it. It's your frame of mind. That's the most important thing. That's what leads everything. That's what changes. That's why you're shooting better on some days than other days. That's why your vision is better at some times and on certain days compared to other days. Now, your job is not to control your eyes. Your job is to let them, your eyes, and your entire visual system do its thing pretty much on its own, while you consciously stay as uninvolved physically as you can, while you find the optimal amount of mental involvement in the form of attention to drive it. That's how you control it. That's the only way it's going to work right. And it's precisely made to work perfectly. I don't care how long you've worn glasses, it's going to calibrate itself back to good vision when you treat it right. And to do this, I mean, the first thing, you start by calming your mind. And it's not that hard. You just practice it and you get better and better at it. That's why Dr. Bates, 100 years ago, had people palm their eyes for a while to begin the session, which is covering your eyes with your hands cupped enough in such a way so you're not touching your eyes, but you're blocking most of the light. He was basically teaching them to meditate, to calm their mind. And that's where you start from in your vision practice. You cultivate a calm mind. From that place of a calm mind, things begin to make more sense. When I started shooting arrows, I learned to calm my mind while I was doing. I began noticing all the little things I was doing that were messing up my shot. Some things it took me months to notice. I mean, I was hitting my arm guard on my bow arm for, I don't know, 2 months, and then finally I noticed I'm hitting the string against my arm every shot. Things I had been doing the whole time, and then more things popped up. Like, oh, wow, I've been doing that the whole time. It's the same thing with your vision. The things that you notice at some point that you have been doing for a long time or even your whole life, that the little habits that you have picked up, you do with your eyes, the way you look at things. But if I focus too much on correcting these mistakes, more mistakes would pop up. I'd invent new ways to cause a problem. I'd throw off the arrow and I'd do something new with my body and my posture to cause a problem once I solve something else. So the solution there, you can't keep chasing these things. The solution is to modify how I think about what I'm doing. I'll shoot at a pine cone I have hanging over the straw bale. It makes a good bullseye, and I tell myself I am the pine cone. It helps me connect with it better, to focus on it as the target instead of so much of what I'm trying to do to reach it. If I am the pine cone, I am relaxed about being the pine cone, and I have a sense of confidence. I'm not trying, it's not something I'm trying to reach. I already am the pine cone. But then I think, maybe I'm not the pine cone. I am the arrow. And that helps me treat the arrow gently, as if it's a part of myself, and be more sensitive to it, to make sure that the force I'm putting into the shot is in a perfectly straight line. No force where I'm going to tweak the shot, where I'm going to be anything more than gentle with the arrow. And then, when the arrow meets the pine cone, then I am the pine cone. Or I am both, or I'll think it in terms of I am the flight of the arrow. I kind of encompass the whole thing, and that seems to work too. I'm still messing around with all of it. You get the idea. You see how mental it is, and I'm telling you, that's the way your vision practice should be. And it's very little to do with your eyes. And it's much more to do with the type of energy, focus, and gentleness that you put in, the sensitivity that you put into this. Wherever you're listening to this, scroll down and leave a comment for me. I will talk to you soon.